Steel is one of the most utilized metals in the world, making up everything from the tallest skyscrapers to your everyday kitchen utensils. Steel has driven technological growth and advancement through the industrial age and continues to fuel innovation today, with over 1,950,500,000 tons produced in 2021 alone. Steel is an iron alloy, meaning it is made up of a combination of metals and non-metals including carbon, iron, and tin. Like most metals, including aluminum, copper, and brass, steel can be continuously recycled without any damage or degradation to its properties, no matter the product or form it takes. In fact, steel tops the list of North America's most recycled materials, with over 60% of steel being recycled annually since 1970. Steel's production by products also has a high rate of recycling, with 90% of the co-products used in steel production including slag, water, gas, and dust also being reused or recycled. This is extremely good news as it relates to steel's environmental impact and its preservation of our Earth's natural resources. Steel recycling also has a financial imperative for its consumers, not to mention the costs saved for those on the production side. There are three main categories of recycled steel including home scrap, prompt scrap, and obsolete scrap. 2 out of every 3 tons of new steel are recycled from old steel, and the other third is virgin ore. It is still necessary to use new steel because steel is so strong that products made with it last a long time. In this video, we will cover the basics of steel recycling and talk through its wide-reaching benefits, both environmental and financial. But first, let's go over the different types of steel and how it can be sorted for recycling. Types of steel recyclables. Steel versus stainless steel. As reflected in its various purposes, there are multiple types of steel found in steel-based products. The most common variation of steel is known as stainless steel. The difference between steel and stainless steel is its magnetic properties. Steel itself is highly magnetized, while only certain types of stainless steel hold magnetic properties. This is because steel is a ferrous metal, meaning it contains iron, making it ferromagnetic, whereas stainless steel must contain iron, and the crystal structure of the alloy must be martensitic or ferritic in order to be magnetic. Stainless steel is known to resist corrosion and hold a slightly higher melting point than other steels. That is why it is typically used in products such as healthcare equipment, food production, cars, and construction projects. Steel, on the other hand, will more commonly be found in household products such as hammers and appliances. Both steel and stainless steel are recyclable, but it's still a valuable exercise to separate them due to the potential difference in price and ultimate worth. The steel recycling process. While it is true that all forms of steel are recyclable, it's important to note that the recycling process differs from many other products. This is due to the inherent value of steel. Instead of being sent to a landfill or traditional recycling center, steel products will be sold to a scrapyard for compensation. There are three main sources of steel scrap that is sold to scrapyards: home scrap, prompt or industrial scrap, and obsolete scrap. Home scrap. Home scrap is steel waste that occurs in house and steel mills through the production of steel. This includes trimmings and reject scraps of steel. This does not typically have to be collected or purchased, as it is usually redirected back into the furnace. Prompt industrial scrap. Prompt scrap is a result of product manufacturing in areas such as automotive and appliances. Excess steel from these warehouses and factories are auctioned and sold to scrap buyers, usually at a premium. Obsolete scrap. Obsolete scrap covers the rest of steel waste, stemming from areas such as individual household appliances, old cars that are sent to a junkyard, office, and household waste. This category can also extend to include old junk buildings or structures that are sent to a junkyard and recovered for their steel elements. After being collected by scrappers in person, at designated drop-offs, or at buyback centers, steel scrap is then sorted and sent out to mills or foundries. The scrap steel is melted in a steel-making furnace that has a temperature of approximately 3,000 degrees. Steel cans will be mixed with other steel parts, such as automobiles. Once the steel is melted, it is cast into slabs and rolled into flat stock or steel sheets. The flat stock is cut into sections, rolled, and welded into tubes. This tubing can be assembled into a new product. It is important to note that steel is 100% recyclable, so it should always be recycled. Recycling steel diverts it from the landfill, reduces the need to mine for more ore, and saves energy while lowering greenhouse gas emissions. Steel can be recycled an infinite number of times, and it doesn't lose any of its properties in the process. This takes a non-renewable resource and makes it renewable. People often think that steel is a metal, but it is actually classified as an alloy, which is a blend of different metals. That said, the primary metal in the blend is always iron. Steel is the most significant material in the history of engineering and construction because of its properties. Steel is best known for its durability, hardness, and toughness. It has a very high melting point, which is 1,510 degrees Celsius. This is higher than most metals including copper, which has a melting point almost 500 degrees lower. In addition, steel has a very high density at 7.9 grams per cubic meter. This is almost 8 times as dense as water. Steel is actually harder and stronger than iron, and at the same time, it is flexible and has high tensile strength, which means that it can withstand applied loads without losing its shape. Steel is an alloy made of iron and carbon. It contains less than 2% carbon and 1% manganese, and it has small amounts of silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, and oxygen. It is strong enough to be used in every aspect of daily life, including buildings, cars, appliances, cargo ships, and more. The global steelmaking industry produces over 130 million tons of steel slag every year. According to data from the World Steel Association, 15.7 million tons of the steel slag emerge as a byproduct in Europe alone, of which 11.5 million tons are recycled. The massive amount of steel slag produced by steel mills around the world is a major motivator for recycling the material, even more so knowing that it would otherwise be discarded. Steel slag is a byproduct created when steel, iron, and other metals are melted down. The main advantage of steel slag is its cost-effectiveness. Because it's produced as a byproduct of metal melting, it's generally much cheaper than traditional aggregates or materials like asphalt or concrete. Additionally, steel slag has great compressive strength and can be used as an alternative to gravel or other materials in road beds and foundations. Furthermore, its heat resistance makes it useful for applications where temperatures may get hot enough to damage more traditional materials like asphalt. Steel slag also has several environmental advantages over traditional materials. For example, it reduces air pollution because its production doesn't require burning fossil fuels like oil or natural gas that produce harmful emissions when burned. Additionally, because it doesn't require mining to obtain raw materials, like sand and gravel do, there are fewer environmental impacts associated with steel slag production than with traditional construction materials. Finally, steel slag is resistant to erosion, so roads built with this material can last longer than roads made with other types of aggregate or asphalt.